Hi everyone, I'm Lauren Spear, and this is the HorrorFam.com podcast, episode number 26. And I might sound a little weird today because I've got a cold. Hopefully, if I've done a good job, you won't be hearing any of my gross snot noises because I'm going to try to edit those out. But you know who always sounds great is this week's guest, John Brennan. You may know him as Bad Techno or Johnny Bubba or John Brennan and the Big Feet. He is a musical guy, and here he is.
Thank you so much for having me. When you said the gross snot noises, I was tempted to open with my own gross snot noises, but we'll keep it clean because nobody likes to be sick, and let's pretend we're both very, very healthy right now. Because I had COVID not too long ago. It was the worst bout I've ever had.
Oh man. Yeah, it's not great.
It's not great this time. I had it twice before, and this is my third time. This time was all body. It was like my it was almost like I did a 15, 20 hour workout and my muscles were contracting and I couldn't move. It was
Oh
horrible.
man. Yeah. Been
Ugh.
there.
Yeah, and then right here in my sinus cavity was like somebody was drilling from the inside out. It was horrible.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep the gross snot and drooling
Yeah,
through the brain noises to a minimum for the headphone listeners.
that's right. That's right.
Speaking of podcasts, you now have your own podcast, with Yuki from The Last Drive-In.
Yes.
Would you like to talk about that? I
Sure, I love talking about it because this is a thing that was it's surprising to me that it's still going on because when we first started, Yuki was sort of I won't say reluctant. He was confused a little bit about why we would do this sort of thing and what we were doing. But as we've gotten we're in the 80s now. We have like 80 something. I think we're up to 88 and we've recorded a few now for the future. And Yuki is getting really good on mic, and he's coming up with suggestions. He's making jokes. He's coming up with theories and all sorts of intellectual ideas. And that's what I actually love about this thing is because Yuki to me has always been one of the most interesting and singular people I've ever met. No one is like Yuki Nakamura. And so to be able to have all of these different conversations recorded and archived for all time is just really amazing to me because who knows down the future, somebody who doesn't even know who we are will find these discussions and be like, who are these weird people just talking all this time? And we don't really have guests either. It's just the two of us talking and saying things. And it's been a real pleasure and a journey.
I got to listen to a few of the episodes already. And yeah, it's you guys talking. Sometimes Liz Shack will come on and
Yes.
you've covered a very like massive range of topics. I listened to the Hitchcock one and the candy one and
That was Yuki's suggestion, by the way,
oh
because he
yeah.
knew he was going to sabotage me, and Liz, because we consider candy in America, it's like candy is like Halloween candy, chocolates, lollipops, all that stuff. But Yuki said in Japan they have very specific things as to what candy is. Like candy is like hard candy, the suckers and all that sort of stuff. And he says chocolate is not candy,
Oh
and it blew my
yeah.
mind. I didn't
Yeah,
know
like
that. I
I
thought.
actually have some like Japanese candy.
Oh, you do? See, those are like the hard candies that you
Yeah.
suck on.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, they look
that,
great. Actually, those look great. Wow.
yeah.
But he sort of got me confused. Now I don't know what candy is anymore. But that's the beauty of the podcast is the thing that Yuki's even though he's been in America for longer than he did live in Japan, he still comes from the Japanese culture and can bring these ideas to me as an American born sort of average citizen of the United States, he brings these ideas that I would never think of and opens my mind many times. And I think I also open his mind too sometimes.
Yeah, it seems like you guys had sort of an equal like, whoa, what?
Yeah, what did you just say? Like, and we try not to be. I mean, we do get crass very often because that's just sometimes when two guys are
It's
talking,
guy talk, yeah.
it devolves into guy talk. But that's why it's great when we have Liz Shack come on because even though she's not necessarily your average female, she she's got some amazing ideas herself and sort of throws us for a loop as well. It's great to have a female's perspective in there as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that those episodes are really great.
Thank you so much. And that's yeah, Yuki and John's podcast buffet, and we called it the buffet because we do a buffet of topics. It's like seriously coming up, we're going to do nuclear bombs, and then the next one is going to be the Twilight Zone. So we go from like
Oh wow.
heady, interesting, weird topics that we really shouldn't be talking about. I mean, we don't know anything about nuclear weapons, but we're going to talk about it.
Well, a lot of the people who say they know things don't, so
That's the thing. And you know what's interesting is sometimes we pick a topic. We did the agricultural revolution once, and we it's that's in our Patreon because we have a bunch of shows that we do on our Patreon that are under the paywall, and that one's on a show called The Universe and Human Stupidity. You and I study subjects from the standpoint of human stupidity. And because we're average guys who are we're not geniuses, but we're sort of like right in the middle, so we discover these things together. And yeah, the agricultural revolution blew our mind. The wheel, we did one on the wheel. So there's some really cool, you know, it's also educational. It's not
Yeah.
just fun talk.
Also, when you claim to know nothing, you always exceed expectations.
Sometimes, yeah, and you know what's funny is sometimes we start talking about stuff and things just get jarred loose in my mind that I remember hearing someone else say. Now that doesn't always necessarily mean that it's true what I've heard, but I do bring the things out that I've heard, and then Yuki will jam on that. It's like jazz. He's going, and I'm going, and we're going back and forth playing jazz at each other.
You are also still very active with your music. I have you on my Spotify, and there's you've done so much music. I think that most of the people who watch this will probably know you as the music guy from the last drive-in, and where you did gosh, 50 songs, over 40 for sure.
We've once I've tallied it all up, even with the incidental music, we well past 50. Like we're in the
Yeah.
60s. If you take away the incidental music, like the background stuff, it's probably hovering around 50.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because
Yeah.
like you had it as like I've done over 40, and it's like I think that's old. I
That
think he
was
needs to
old. That was
update
old. That
that.
was before season 6. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're close to. I think I would officially say 50 and leave it at that, even if it's give or take one or two.
Yeah, it and the including the theme song, yes.
Yeah, both themes,
Yeah,
the opening and closing theme songs, and
which even long after like what movies did we watch last week? That song is like going through people's heads. Like that's what they're thinking about, like leading up to episodes, they're singing along, and
wow,
it's like the
it's
thing that gets people excited when the new episode comes on. So like you left your mark for sure. Like
thank you
it
so
wouldn't be
much.
the same without your work.
I
And
appreciate that because tearing the heart out of Saturday Night, the original Monster Vision song is such a great song. So when I was entering into writing Joe Bob is Back in Town, that was in my mind saying, how can I even come close to this thing? And the only thing that I thought of was and I've said this before is Muppets. I
I
had
love the
Muppets at
Muppets.
yeah, the Muppets. That's why I said what would top not top but equal tearing the heart out of Saturday Night is if there was a bunch of like werewolf zombie mummies in a graveyard who are Muppets singing in celebration that Joe Bob's returning to the drive-in, which is right next door to the graveyard. So I wrote that song envisioning all these like Muppets going, "Hey everybody, have you heard the news?"
Yeah.
And
Oh,
that
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 that's awesome.
that's what saved the song.
No, I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
It's kind of like one of the things that I always have in mind in the back of my mind from the Muppet movie about how when Kermit's talking about how he found a family, with all the Muppets that he's collected, and
Yeah.
that's kind of what I had in mind with horror fam is like my own biological family is it's just my mom, my dad, me and my great uncle Ron. And then that's it. So all of my family is just friends and
Right.
people I've met along the way, and I wanted to keep expanding my family.
Beautiful. What a beautiful thought. You know that yeah, that's like there's family that you're given at birth, and then there's the family that you choose as you walk through this earth. And that's a beautiful idea to have this this medium that you have going on where we're talking to people and maybe collecting friends along the way
I
and
hope
family.
so.
It's beautiful.
um um but yeah, like, and I'm trying to like help people too, like one time, like a few weeks ago, I came online and you just like you weren't there anymore, and I was like, where'd you go? And
Who, me?
yeah, you.
What?
Um
I'm online every damn day. All I do is share memes and all sorts of crazy things.
well, like when you left.
Yeah, yeah.
And
The
um
Great Escape by with
yeah,
Steve McQueen.
and um and then I had to like I couldn't like you weren't like showing up, and then I had to actually like seek you out, and I was like, where'd he go? and and then I saw like, oh, he went on to do something new creatively, and that's great. And but I noticed that nobody, like a lot of other people, had the same questions I did but weren't as proactive about it. So I wanted to have you on here since you had played such a role in you've shared our articles and things and got horror fam out in front of people when we were, baby and just starting out. And um I wanted to do that same favor for you as best I could, since you are also on a new creative journey, and starting new things is it's so rough. And
I'm loving it. I'll be honest. I've over the years, even as I was working on the last drive-in trauma, um, I've always worked on my own stuff, and unfortunately, just because it takes so much energy to make other people's visions come to life, Lloyd Kaufman, Joe Bob Briggs, um, I put my own stuff to the side a lot of the times. But that doesn't mean I haven't always been work. I mean, I've accumulated over 1,000 songs at this point that I've either are in the stages of being haven't been recorded, written, or half written on like phone memos. I have all these phone memos where I just wake up out of a dream and be like da 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 and just sing to myself. So there's all of this material that I've gathered over the last, I don't know, 15 years that now that's what I'm concentrating on, which is like getting it all out of my journals and my out of my head and out there into the world for better or worse, because I feel like if I leave it all in my head, it might drive me a little mad.
Yeah, oh, genuinely, I think that even if it's a rough start, it's for the best. Like
Sure.
I spent over a decade as a ghostwriter, and then
Wow.
I where, like completely unseen, all of my work was as somebody else, and it left me with nothing. And so I've had to restart, my life and career, and I get having to put other people and corporations and other things first.
Yeah,
And
and
then
hey,
yeah.
sometimes it's valuable because I mean, look at all the people that I've met throughout the years and all the things that I've gotten to do, and I mean, I love the resume that I've put together. I mean, I could pull from all sorts of things in all sorts of areas, either whether it be producing, acting, music, whatever, all the stuff that I've done over the years, which is very valuable to me at this point in time. And if I hadn't done those things, then I wouldn't be prepared to do my own thing now, where I could wear all the different hats and go and not necessarily have to rely on a huge crew or something like that. I could get a lot of things done just through me and maybe a few other people. And that's what I'm really excited to do in the next year or two, is like get so many things done. Now, the problem is, so all the things that I'm sure there's a lot of creative people out there or artists who have so many things that they want to do and then they have a trouble choosing the thing to do next. That has
Yeah.
always been my problem. It's like, I
Yeah.
want to write a novel, I want to write a screenplay, I want to write a book, I want to do this, I want to do da. And it's just like so many things to choose from. That's sometimes my hardest thing, is choosing the thing to concentrate on.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure you get like overwhelmed by choice. Like it's
Overwhelmed by
like
choice. Yeah.
suddenly you're free. It's like it's
Yeah.
like
And then
okay,
so
I'm free. I can't wait to do everything.
everything, and sometimes I always battle in my brain about what if the thing that I didn't choose was the thing that will get me, a house or so. Who knows what the thing that I put on the side, maybe that was the right thing to concentrate on. But
Oh
then I
yeah.
start to say it doesn't matter. It's all about just doing something. The worst thing to do would be to give up and not do a damn thing.
Yeah.
So at least something is happening, and that's where I'm in my happy place. I'm like, all right, I got 3 hours of work done today, and I can't think of anything else today. I'm gonna call it quits. The next day, I get 20 hours of work done. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
just as long as something is happening every day, that's all that matters to me.
Yeah. You have to kind of go with the ebb and flow of motivation and inspiration.
Absolutely. And another thing that's great about the podcast, Yuki and John's podcast, is that when I am stuck creatively on, say, a project or a song, and I just can't do it anymore, and I'm just not having the right ideas. I pick out one of the episodes and I edit it, and then doing that in itself is a creative process, because sometimes there's too much, sometimes we have to add some sound effects, whatever it might be. So that becomes a creative thing. That's why I love having the podcast to rely on too.
That's awesome. And um this since this is horror fam, and you're wearing a Killer Clown shirt and everything.
Yeah, for Fright Rags.
Yeah. If it's not a horrorfam.com shirt, my husband Frank and I are wearing fright rags.
Amazing.
Like, um, but um, some of your episodes for the podcast buffet are about horror topics, and a lot of your songs kind of lean into the, creepy, scary, kind of kooky.
It's a crazy kooky show. What the do? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Um, what got you interested in horror, and do you expect to be doing more horror related things with your new projects?
Absolutely. I love horror. I always have loved horror. Well, that's not exactly true. When I was a little kid, I was a scaredy cat. I couldn't even watch the Thriller episode, the Thriller music video. That's how scared I was. But then
Oh,
later on, I watched some of those, like Friday the 13th, Freddy Krueger's, and I got over my fear of those because I realized that some of it was more funny than scary.
yeah.
The Exorcist, I still can't, I can barely watch The Exorcist. If I'm alone in the house and The Exorcist comes on, I leave the house. I can't come back. Like
You could just
I'm
turn
in
off
my
your
40s.
TV.
No, I can't, because the TV is tainted. The devil's in that TV. I have to wait until
Yeah.
the movie's over and come back. It's I have a psychological damage because of The Exorcist. That I also grew up Catholic, so that's probably why. But
Oh.
as far as horror, I have always loved horror since I was a little kid. I then started to become really a fan of, in my teens, of comedies. That's when I sort of like abandoned horror a little bit and started watching all the Ace Venturas, the Dumb and Dumbers, the Something About Mary. There was that great renaissance of 90s comedy that I was really into that. And then I came back to horror when I moved to LA and I lived by Rocket Video, and I
Oh.
used to rent. They had this amazing cult section, amazing horror section. And I was like, oh, I have never seen House on Sorority Row. I've never seen Black Christmas. I had never seen Black Christmas until I was in my 20s. So I started renting all these movies. Sometimes the guy at the desk would give me suggestions. One day he warned me against renting Cannibal Holocaust, and I didn't listen to him. I was like, oh, it's. I heard it's a crazy banned movie. He's like, he just shook his head. He's like, "You don't want to go there, but okay, take my word for it." And I kind of regretted it watching it.
Yeah.
But so I came back to horror in my 20s, and then when I moved back to New York from LA, that's when I fell in with trauma. So I sort of saw that I could maybe make headway into this company that combined both horror and comedy. So my two loves were sort of intermingled there. So that
Horror
was like really,
comedies are my favorite too.
yeah, to me too. I mean, I love a good scary movie when it's like pure horror. But even in The Exorcist, say, there's some levity in that movie.
A
There's
little
some
bit.
moments. Yeah, there's moments I laugh at right now. I'm like, oh my God. And not I don't I think freaking actually meant to do that a little bit. Um, so yeah, I love it when there's a great scary movie that has moments of levity or a really great comedy that has moments of horror. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
like Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Oh, I love that one.
Great horror
It's so
comedy.
good.
So
Oh,
funny, but it's also gruesome and actually quite scary for not only the people who are being killed, but the two guys who are just trying to do the right thing and everybody's
oh, I
dying around.
know.
It's a nightmare scenario.
I also love like the Monster Squad, Night of the
Yes.
Creeps, and
Yes.
Killer Clowns on Your Shirt, and
That's the stuff right there. Yeah.
the Frighteners is one of my absolute favorite movies ever. And
I just rewatched The Frighteners. I didn't like it when I first saw it.
oh no,
I didn't care for it the first time I saw it, way back when it came out.
yeah,
This Halloween season, I rewatched it. I said, this movie's freaking awesome.
yeah,
It's awesome. I had forgotten half the stuff that happened in that movie. I forgot that Dee Wallace is the big bad.
yeah. Spoilers,
Well, yeah,
but
sorry
yeah.
guys. No, fast forward if you don't want the spoil. But yeah, that's one of those movies that I really am glad that I've revisited because I don't know what it was about the first time I watched it. It just wasn't in the right mindset or something. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And but yeah, I love horror comedies. Those are my favorites too.
yeah, absolutely. There's so many. I mean, you could go on and on. I mean, obviously, Evil Dead 2, the pinnacle of horror comedy.
Oh, I can't believe I didn't even mention it.
So good.
It is Dead Alive and oh man.
Oh yeah. When is that? They've been talking about putting out a new restoration of Dead Alive for years on a Blu-ray, and I just where is
Yeah,
it?
I don't know.
I actually did you get the Trick or Treat Synapse Films Trick or Treat release?
No, I don't have money.
Okay, well, when you have money, this might be a great thing because this is such an underrated movie, and I really love that Synapse put so much love into this,
I have like
movie.
the little $10 Blu-ray of Trick or Treat, so
Yeah,
I'm not without it, and I have seen it,
good,
but and I we do own it, but no,
good, good, good.
I don't have the fancy pants version. It looks so beautiful though.
I know, and it came with a poster. I already put it on the wall. It's over there. I wish I could show you, but
Um, well, we're coming close on time here, and I want to make sure that everyone knows where to find you so that they can follow along with your new creative ventures and your wild journey.
it is a wild journey. It's like one day I choose one path, the next day I choose another path, and I kind of like that. I'm wildly careening through an artist's life because there's some times where I actually think that I made a wrong decision and I should have been a banker or I should have listened to my parents and been a lawyer or a doctor or something like that because it's no matter what anybody says, a career in the entertainment industry or even in the arts in general is very difficult because there's no clear-cut path forward.
It's incredibly
So,
difficult.
yeah.
I dropped out of dental school. So I could kind of, every
That's
once
so.
in a while it's like, hmm,
What
would
if?
would I have money now?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I
That's what.
wouldn't be happy.
Right. That's the thing is, and this is the there. And not only just the happiness, which is totally part of why I do it. Are also a lot of opportunities in the entertainment industry, especially in this day and age, when literally you and I couldn't do this 10 years ago. We wouldn't be able to really do it so beautifully through this wonderful technology that we have right now. So the level field is being, the playing field is being leveled for artists like
Yeah.
us who want to share. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a beautiful time to be alive.
It is.
It is.
I think that that's a good message to get out, that it's a beautiful time to be alive.
Yeah, some most of us live better than most kings of antiquity. So, like, Henry the Eighth, he would have been trying to eat like a mutton chop or something or whatever the whole hell those things are, and he would look around and be like, "What the hell?" He would go to my fridge and be like, "This is paradise. This is paradise. Chicken parmesan. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me?" So, okay, so you said where can people find me for now, for
Yes,
the time being, until I actually launch my big endeavor that I'm working on. I'm just at Bad Techno on Twitter, Instagram, and all the social medias.
I have it.
Or, oh, right there. Yeah,
Yeah,
that beautiful marquee.
I've got it written down right here so people
That's
could
it. So
see.
so if you go to any of the social medias, I think actually most of them, or www.badtechno.com, there's portals to all my work. I have like link trees up. So I always update my links. I always like I'll put this interview in the podcast section,
Oh, okay.
all the stuff I always update and always put all the new things that I'm working on there.
And I'll be sure to put all of the links in the transcript for this episode as well. So, if you
Thank
go
you.
to horrorfam.com/John Brennan, spelled like this, with a dash in between John and Brennan, then
Yeah,
you'll be able to read this whole podcast transcript and get all the links of where to find John
thank
Brennan
you. And
online.
yeah, Yuki and John's podcast buffet, we put that out for free. Anybody can listen to any of these insane discussions that Yuki and I have. And then we have the Patreon buffet, Yuki and John's Patreon buffet, where we have like 400 posts behind a paywall of all sorts of things. I mean, all my stuff, work at Troma, all of the work that I did with Yuki on the side, some of my music videos, all kinds of stuff. So,
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome.
yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
What do we got? 3 minutes?
Just about.
Let's do a quick podcast buffet episode. Let's pick a topic really quick. Quantum physics.
Oh my gosh.
What do you know about quantum physics? It doesn't matter if you know anything other than one thing, and then we can jump from there.
That my mind's a blank.
That's interesting because they say that there's so much blank space in between all things that we really don't even know what the hell is going on with quantum physics. Like, what's a quark? What they say, the Large Hadron Collider? That thing went on that people are saying it's ripping holes through the next universe, so the neighboring universes and the multi-dimensional things. We're in for like a really interesting next, I would say, decade to 20 years between. You have the singularity that's coming where we're going to merge with machines. You have
Oh
the
yeah.
they're experimenting with all sorts of quantum physics. They're learning about dark matter. They want to go to Mars. Like, all these things are happening, and we're in such an interesting time to see all of these technological breakthroughs and historical breakthroughs. And I'm quite excited to see what happens, as long as it's not
I
ending in a fiery death in an apocalypse.
yeah. You just barely escaped that earlier this year.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly. And that's what this year taught me, is like it's all about impermanence. So let's enjoy this like current moment and look at, not just because there's a lot of bad things, and if you dwell on the bad things, you get lost in those things. But if you could find the good things and concentrate on those things, life is not that bad. Life
Yeah,
isn't that bad.
not too bad.
Yeah.
I recently did an art project where I showed, like, the average lifespan and where I was on it, and just, like, making every week count. Maybe I'll
Exactly.
put that in the show notes too.
Yeah, and if you choose the negative, life is negative. If you choose the positive, life is positive. And
Yeah.
even though things are horrible sometimes, you can push through and get to the better times.
Amen.
Amen.
It was great talking to you, John Brennan, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. This was a pleasure.
Okay, that's gonna be it for the episode.